Hello, everybody. I'm Valerie Gilchrist, and I'm broadcasting from Augusta, Georgia. My program is Esther's Purpose, and my guest today is Mars Bishop. Can't wait for y'all to meet him. But before you guys do, I want you to know that we are on WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I want you all to also know that WYTV7 is a nonprofit organization that does take donations. Those donations are used to broadcast all of the broadcasts nationally and internationally. Our listeners are across the globe, and we want to encourage our listeners by everything that we do with this broadcast. Now, through Esther's Purpose, listeners who have been going through trials of life and gotten discouraged and maybe even gotten off course, we want to encourage you to stay on course. So by testimonials from my guests, not only will they tell you how to get through, but they'll also talk to you about how they came through their victory, came through their situations through victory and in purpose. So now I want to introduce my guest to you. This is Mr. Mars Bishop. So I want to read to you all his bio. It's going to take me just a moment, but you all need to hear about this man. He's a native of Long Island, New York. He knows the true meaning of taking life day by day. At the age of 5, Mars was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. One would think that being diagnosed would be the only thing to face in life. But oh no, it wasn't. On top of having days in and out of the hospital, Mars experienced an abusive relationship amongst his parents, causing him to grow up without a male role model and in a single parent home. After graduating from high school, Mars moved to California to pursue his passion for music. And while attending college, Mars experienced the harsh reality of street life and gang activity. At the age of 22, it was a stroke that altered the trajectory of his life forever. His destructive lifestyle caused him to neglect his health, and over time, due to the lack of medical attention, Mars began to exhibit the loss of the use of his left arm and leg. Life still moved on in the eyes of Mars, knowing that he couldn't allow his challenges to affect him. Today, Mars resides in Atlanta, Georgia. Daily, he is using his life experiences to motivate and encourage those around him, knowing that God's will and purpose is always the main focus in his life. And he makes it a point to be God's vessel while always working through his own hardships, struggles, and imperfection. Mars, that was a mouthful.
I was getting ready to say the same thing to you. Woo! Woo.
I know, but I had to tell them because I need them to appreciate, first of all, your struggle. Because, you know, we always see the other side of it, but we have no idea what made that person who they are and what they're doing. So here at Esther's Purpose, what I want to make sure people get is that all of us have been through struggles. Everybody has. But you have a decision to make. Are you going to live through it or are you going to die in it? Which one you want to be? And you are going to be this awesome vessel right now today that's going to talk to us not only about your struggle, but how you live through it. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay, Mars, I'm gonna give you some time right now, and just talk to us first about that. I know I read a lot of it, but it's one thing to read it, it's another thing to hear someone talk about it. So talk about those struggles that you went through in the beginning of life.
Okay, so which ones you want me to start with? You want me to start from, it's been a struggle from the beginning. You know, I could talk about basically being that 5-year-old kid, seeing the abuse, seeing the negativity as I was growing up. You know, one of the things that really was hurtful to me was watching my mother physically within front of my eyes being abused. I remember as a 5-year-old child, her being dragged across the floor screaming. And, you know, for a young man, you just don't understand the pain that a young man has when you can't do anything to physically help a parent that's being hurt, you know, and on top of that, you know, going through the own challenges of struggling for my own life, you know, battling sickle cell, going through the pain. I mean, Valerie, there was times that I've been in and out of the hospital, you know, more times than I can even count. You know, there was days you talked about living through the struggle or want to die in it. I definitely wanted to die in it.
Wow.
You know, those I don't know if you're familiar with sickle cell anemia, so let me just start there. I don't know if you're familiar do with sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is the rare blood disorder to where your blood, to the red blood vessels, they only last for so long, and then they deteriorate and they become a sickle shape. Mm-hmm. And when they become a sickle shape, they can clot in any part of the body. So every part of your body is affected by that red blood cell. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the pain that radiates from it, oh my gosh, you know, it's not even something that I can explain to you. You know what I'm saying? It's just to the fact when all that happens, it's just you just want to die. You want to crawl up in yourself and you want to die. You don't want to exist anymore. And I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times that I've laid on that hospital bed asking God, literally, to please take my life. Oh, because the pain is that excruciating. And, you know, I didn't have a good relationship with God growing up because I always saw it like, God, why did you do this to me? Why did you give me this? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes. We only see things as something to hurt us. But as you go through the process and you understand that life comes with adversity and it comes with challenges, you understand that that's part of the process. And, you know, you just have to endure through it. You have to continue pushing through it. And, you know, somewhere along the way, our relationship became that like gorilla glue type of bond.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
You know, and that, to this day, like right now, that's my main man. Like that's my man. $100,000. You know.
Well, you know that's awesome, but you know, I mean, you had a double challenge. Not only physically, I mean, at 5 you were dealing with that kind of pain and that struggle, but then at the same time watching out. Was this your dad that was abusive to your mom?
Yes, ma'am. My blood dad.
Yeah.
My blood dad. So this isn't a stranger we're talking about. We're talking about somebody that I came from.
Right. Right. And so then how did that impact you as a young man to know that that character, those traits are actually in you as a man, right?
Right. Well, see, for a long time, because of my hate for him, it caused me to hate myself.
Oh, wow.
On top of sickle cell anemia, Valerie, that's where the self-destructive came from, because the only enemy that I was facing was me. Eternally, that was me. So I'm battling me all the way around. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of the traits that I have, I was given something that I didn't even understand from the beginning. So I'm thinking like I had a double and a double negative. How do you persevere through that? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I was my own worst enemy. You know how it says, if there's no enemy on the inside, the enemy on the outside can cause you no harm.
Yes.
That was causing me all the harm that I could do on the inside, which led ultimately to that stroke. And ultimately to the losing of my left arm and the left extremities.
Well, because you said, and I think, and I believe I read it in that bio. So your stroke came from you not taking care of you.
Because
but I mean, how could you even take care of you when the beginning of your life started off with a life-threatening, very painful illness, on top of watching the struggle, like you said, of your dad being abusive towards your mom, and then even at 5, I mean, you're still a man, probably wanting to protect her, but couldn't, not only because of your size, but because of what was going on with you physically. And then the manifestation of all that trauma now bringing you a stroke that has now affected you even more. So tell us, okay, so on top of all of that, so Mars, how did you, I mean, because just when we just opened up in the beginning, even before we started recording, I mean, we're laughing and talking, and if I hadn't have read your story, I wouldn't even know this from just watching you. Ma'am. So tell me what bridged that? What got you from there to here?
Well, what got me from there to here, like I said, the gorilla bond with God. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm not smart enough, nor am I strong enough to do this on my own, you know? And basically, what happened was, like, there's a thing in the sickle cell community, and I'm going to share with your listeners, for anybody who does have sickle cell, there's a thing that when we grow up, it's called transition. And within that transition, it shows you how to advocate for yourself. It teaches you more about, you know, handling the disease that you have, and going to the doctor, keeping up with your appointments, keeping up with the transfusions. But when neither one of your parents know that they have the trait, they don't know, you know, what they're supposed to do. So this was a learning lesson, not only for me, but this was a learning lesson for my mother at the same time.
Wow.
So we're going through this together. And then when I graduated high school, I said, the heck with it, I'm going to go out on my own. And I moved from, at this time, I was in Anchorage, Alaska. That's where I graduated high school. And I went down to California because I wanted to pursue music. So when I was down there, you know, the influences that I was around, the circle of influences, that became more to me than the relationship with God. And, you know, you smoking, you drinking, and you living this destructive lifestyle. You're not worried about going to the hospital. You're not worried about going to get a checkup. You know what I'm saying? You're worried about what you're going to do next. You're worried about the next female that you're going to talk to. You're worried about the next blunt that you're going to smoke. You know, so all these things were taking an impact. And then plus, I'm already low on oxygen. So by me doing all this is just creating more damage on the inside. So basically, I was my worst enemy.
Absolutely. Now, you know, I want to mention again that this is Esther's Purpose, and we're broadcasting from WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I have with me today, my guest is Mars Bishop, and if you just clicked in, he has an awesome story. So you all just continue to listen, okay? I want to make sure that you all know that that WYTV7 is a nonprofit organization. So if God puts it on your heart to sow that seed, sow that seed. If $5 will meet a need that you have no idea that $5 will do. So whatever that you can do to be a blessing to someone else, please do that, because we want to be a blessing to anyone that hears this broadcast about encouragement and things that when you're going through struggles of life, how you can get through them and come out and live life effectively. So Mars, talking back to you. And so tell me what happened that caused you to turn that sharp corner, because something did.
Well, what happened was 2004. I found myself in another tight situation because I transitioned from California and I went back home to New York. 2004, I made another bad decision and ended up in Connecticut and was charged with first-degree robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, and larceny.
Wow.
So they were trying to give me, talking about 20 years of being in prison. So in that time, when I'm sitting in the Connecticut State, the jail, the correction facility, I started to read the Bible. And I started to, you know, gain that understanding of God. And I prayed, and that was my first covenant I ever made. I said, God, if you get me out of this situation, I will never go back to living the way that I was living before. And 4 months later, you know, the case was thrown out. We got a lawyer. My mother got the money for bond. And from there, she brought me from New York straight to Georgia. And I've been in Georgia ever since. And it was a struggle even then, but it became a mind change. It became a mind shift that I said that I have to do this. You know, and it was, again, I was working at Piedmont Hospital, and this is how God works. He said, I met a lady who was my manager who saw something in me that I couldn't see myself, but I knew it was there. You know, and you have people that see something inside you that you can't see yourself. So she asked me one question. She said, why are you afraid to be great? I didn't know how to answer that question. You know, this lady told me that I was supposed to be out there mentoring. She told me I was supposed to be speaking. She told me I would become an author. She told me that I'd be changing lives. And again, my spirit came to me and it asked me, it said, are you ready? I have more for you to do.
Woo.
And I'm thinking like the lady next to me was talking, right? So, you know, it told me to walk around. And when I walked around, the vision of people that I seen every day, it changed. And I started seeing broken dreams. I started seeing people who gave up on life, people who, you know, settled for life for where they were. And when I went back to my chair, I sat down again, and about 2 minutes later, it came back and it said, are you ready?
Wow.
And when it told me, if you swipe this badge, you will never have to work for anybody else again. And at that point in time, that's when I went home, and it didn't tell me that I would have to develop myself. But about maybe 30 days later, I just started reading that Bible more and more. And the more that the words started to get in there, like it said, the seed starts to grow when you start to water it.
Yes.
Man, I can't even begin to tell you how much that seed has started to flourish.
Woo.
I just started to just say, okay, let's go. And You know,
So you took that great big old leap of faith and said, because the alternative was stay in jail. Right. Or let's get out here, let's be free, and let's impact the world with greatness. And I mean, we are just excited that you made the right choice, because everybody doesn't.
Yes, ma'am.
You really, from the age of 5 years old, you had enough against you to not make the right decision. But
yes,
you know, God always knows how to get our attention.
Yes, ma'am.
He knows how to get it. So that 4 months of lockup got your attention.
He always says he got to sit you down so that he can fully get your attention, right?
Yeah.
So he sat me down, and but at the same time, I'm thankful because when he showed me where I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
You know? And for him to get my attention in that way, I think that was the best way for him to get my attention, because I went through the gang life. I went through, hustling and selling drugs and just living life, negatively. Mm-hmm. And I'm thankful of what he did, and I'm thankful the way that he grabbed my attention, because he showed me the wrong side, where it could lead to, and now he showed me the brighter side of where he's going to take me to. So I'm thankful of what he showed me.
Well, I am so glad, and I'm sure all of our listeners, when they hear this, are going to be glad that you made the right decision. Again, I want to say that I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose. We're broadcasting from WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we've got an awesome guest today. But I do want to remind you that WYTV7 is a nonprofit organization, that we do accept donations, and those donations are used to broadcast us people just like Mars that you're hearing today around the globe, so that there might be someone on the whole other side of the globe, a little child somewhere, or someone that might be sitting in jail and hear this broadcast and be encouraged by him that you don't have to stay in the situation that you're in. Mm-hmm. So we want to continue to be an encouragement to people and show them that there is light at the end of that tunnel. And that light is not a train. It's not. It's another opportunity to live your life to the fullest. So Mars, as we're closing up, tell us what you're doing right now.
Right now, I'm taking my story and I'm using my story to be impactful to the young youth. So what I do now is I go into high schools, middle schools, and elementaries, and building up to the collegiate level to just share my story, to give inspiration and empowerment to those who might be stuck in a situation where they're looking to get out of. Mm-hmm. And I want to show them and tell them that it's not that they can get out of the situation, but it's about developing themselves out of the situation. Mm-hmm. Too many times we want to change, but we don't know how to change, but the change starts from inside. Mm-hmm. So I believe that the purpose that God is using me for is to show others that if you want to get out of that situation, it starts within you. Mm-hmm. You can't change the situation unless you change you in the situation.
Now that's good right there, because we do a lot of times we want to focus on other people. And I know when I share my story, I always, when I have my conferences, I have an annual Esther's Purpose conference here that I do in Augusta. And then I go speak in different places. And what I always start out with me. I always start out with my life and the things that have happened to it, and through it, and then those things that actually turned me around. And like you said, the times that I had to spend time with the Lord and him give me his perspective and his vision, because as bad as we think that we've had it, as bad as we think we were treated, if we really saw us from his perspective, that, all that he sacrificed for us, and we just toss it aside like it was nothing and do whatever we think we want to do without acknowledging his sacrifice. I mean, yeah, it gets to be a big deal. And so we've got to get there where people understand you got to do the work on the inside first. No matter how bad you might want to help somebody, you can't help people when you're broken. You cannot. You got to take the journey first, right, Mars?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think you said that pretty much summed it up right there. And I like how you said you cannot do nothing to help anybody else if you're broken. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like a glass shattering on the ground. A glass can't help another glass if it's broken. No, I can't give you a drink if I'm broken, because I'm not going to be able to hold that water that you need to fill that thirst. So it has to, for the repair to start, it must start inside of you. And you have, not only does it start inside of you, Valerie, you have to want it.
Yes.
Want it. You know? You have to want it. And I think so many times we get so consumed with living for the world that we think that this is how we're supposed to live.
Yeah.
But when you start to see that what God has for you is so much better than what the world has, you don't want the world anymore. You want that eternal water. You know what I'm saying?
You want that. And see, but here's the thing. This is what I loved at the end of when I was reading all of your material, is that you're still going through the struggle. I think what, gets us kind of thrown off sometimes is we think that when we start doing the right thing, and we start living for God, that means we're not going to have any more struggles. Bad things aren't going to happen to us anymore. We're not going to have to, live that. But yes, you are. You're just going to handle it different.
Yes, ma'am.
You won't let it tear you down. You won't let it get you off course, because time and chance is going to happen to everybody. And, a lot of people blame stuff on the devil. No, some stuff is just life. It's just life. God didn't, like now, God didn't give you sickle cell. It's a blood trait that came down through your family. That's how that happens. And so, like, we have autoimmune diseases that run in our family, and everybody's autoimmune disease. There's very few that have the same exact thing, but everybody has some type of autoimmune disease. Well, God didn't cause you to have it. It came down, through blood, blood types, and, through your parents and things. And then people will say to you, oh, well, God put me in that family. Yes, because there are character traits that he needed you to have. And so along with that came whatever else came with the family, but he's able. And if nothing else, listening to you today, what people have to understand, come on, Mars. You sickle cell at 5, watching your biological father abuse your biological mother, right? And then, then having the stroke over not taking care of yourself, because that's what happens when we don't love ourselves, because it takes work to take care of you, right? Yeah. You're not going to eat right, take vitamins, drink water, get rest, exercise. Come on. You're not going to do all that hard work without loving you first, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's so true. And the thing about, one of the things is like, I'm the only one on both sides of the family that has sickle cell anemia. So I'm going to say this. I was chosen.
Woo!
The reason why I was chosen is because nobody else is strong enough to hold this. Nobody.
Wow.
So that just shows you the level of strength that I have. I'm the strongest on both sides of the family.
Wow.
I'm not only going through one stroke, but 2 strokes.
Woo!
Right. So there's still challenges. There's still challenges because even in those strokes, I've messed up my brain. So now I have residue on the right side of the brain that still affects. I have memory loss. I have narrowing blood vessels that are not getting the proper oxygen. So see, these are some of the challenges that I still face. So if you're going through that negative cycle of life, you're damaging yourself even more. And then when you try to come back to the positive side, look how much rehabilitation that you got to do.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out what part of the cycle do you want to live on? You want to live on the good side, or you want to stay on the side that's damaging your life?
Well, but you go speak. And when you're going speaking, tell me this, because we got, in closing, again, I want to remind everybody that this is WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose. I'm talking to Mars Bishop. So we've just got a couple of more, but what I want to, the children, it's one thing when you impact adults. What do you do to grab those children's attention who might not really understand those physical challenges that you have younger? And I don't mean little bitties, but kids that are maybe double digit, but maybe not quite teens, they're tweens. How do you get their attention and let them know that they are important in this earth?
I just try to be as transparent with my life that I could possibly be. Whatever, if the school is going to allow me to be fully transparent, the first thing that I do to grab their attention off the dribble is I let them know I'm a product of rape. Hands down. Hands down. That's the first thing. When I say that, I got your attention because now you're zoned in. Now you're zoned in. You know what I'm saying? And now when I start to really open up and give you the rest of my life, Come on. And then these kids already, you know, they're following what's being perpetuated to them, what they see in entertainment. And that's why I hold entertainment responsible for what's going on, because they need to put some type of more than just that. What is that thing that they put, parental advisory? They need more than that. They need somebody watching them.
Yeah.
Because they're destroying the minds of our babies and they're letting it be done. So now we have to go back and we got to reprogram the minds of them to show them that the living that they're doing needs to be done correctly. So it's just about as much transparency that you can be with them. And that's what I try to do, just be as transparent and open that I can be. Because I respect the transparency and the openness that you can give.
Absolutely. Because I tell you one thing about little kids now, they know when you're lying and they know when you're telling the truth. They seem to know that. Well, Mars, I just thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, I'm gonna bring you back. You know, I know I'm gonna bring you back, and not in a short order, in soon, because we need to hear more of that story, because your story is so impactful. And I just want to let our listening audience know that we so appreciate you all listening. Again, I'm Valerie Gilchrist. This is Esther's Purpose on WYTV7 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. You've been listening to Mars Bishop talk about his story and his struggles and what he's doing now that is real impactful out in the earth. Y'all want to follow him. I want to encourage everyone to go on Facebook, search WYTV7. And make sure that you follow, like that page. Go on Esther's Purpose page, follow, like that page. You can connect with me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. If you want me to come and speak or do something with your organization, I would be glad to do that as well. But we just want to thank you, Mars, once again for your sacrifice, for being here today. I thank you so very much, sir. And we'll talk again soon, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Valerie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hold on, Mark. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.